No, I'm just after hijacking Noel Howard from Kilmurry, who came into the library to look after his books and so forth. And I've asked him to give us an update on what's happening with Kilmurry Museum at, at present. Noel, you're very welcome, and thanks very much for agreeing to be interviewed at such short notice.
For being press ganged, yes.
Indeed, yeah.
Noel, can't refuse an old friend, school friend as well.
Well, I suppose it's great anyway that this is happening, and people are really, I think, after engaging with it at this stage.
That's very true indeed, yes. It's been quite a while in gestation, really. Would you believe it? We were seriously started this project in 2005, so you couldn't term it an overnight success, I suppose.
Yeah.
But at the moment, anyway, this time last year we hadn't even commenced building, and February was a disaster with winds and gales, which actually which blew some of the roof off our old museum, which we replaced with our usual volunteers. The usual people were pulled out again. But anyway, the local Pat McSweeney, the builder, then eventually got seriously going on the project kind of end of February. And to be fair, no, we were under a lot of pressure because it's being funded by a West Cork leader. And the final phase of this loan tranche was ending December 14, so we literally had to have everything signed, sealed and delivered by the end of the year. So I'm glad to say that after a few hiccups we got there. I would equally say that this new building is superb. It's a superb building. It's superb architecturally. It blends in extremely well with the vernacular buildings in the area. It doesn't jut out, and it certainly is a significant feature of the village and a significant community facility and development. At the moment, the building is complete as far as it goes. We haven't got the museum we're designing and putting together our museum presentation, and we have a curating committee involved in that, and we have got some expert advice, and our objective is that the museum presentation will equal or maybe even surpass the quality of the building at the moment.
Very good, yeah. And when you say you have got some I presume conservation is going to be a problem, is it?
Well, it's
always
not
a problem with
I suppose
museums. A challenge.
It's a challenge.
Yes,
it is.
A challenge. Yes.
Because our existing museum, for which the Galvins were so generous down through the years, but essentially it's a farm building, and the environment really was less than ideal for preserving artifacts and books, that type of stuff especially. So yes, and we do have there are some minor infestation and things like that. So obviously we can't just put the whole thing into a trailer and drag it down to the new museum.
Yes.
We have to do some conservation work, but we're doing all that on a planned basis. Okay. As well as that, not alone on a planned basis, but we're actually involved with the museum standards program for Ireland, and everything we are doing, whether it is the database, conservation, recording, whatever, it's all been done to these standards. That's the new development now, even for rural museums, that we visualise that in future, even rural museums or any type of development of this type of nature will not be eligible for EC funding unless they are conforming to a particular standard.
Give us some sense. I haven't seen this building at all yet, but it's not open as such.
It's not open. No.
But give us some sense of how much space you're going to have in here.
Well, the total building is about 2,600 square feet. What you see as you pass through the village is literally 50% of that, because it's a two-storey building.
Yes.
The top storey is on level with the existing roadway, and the the top storey consists of an anteroom and a community meeting room with facilities that will accommodate 80 people sitting down. Okay. We have a lift in, because you have to have that nowadays for access for all types of people. Mm-hmm. And on the ground floor then it's the museum, and we have a museum, shall I say, we have one room that will be used exclusively for transitional presentations that may last maybe a year, maybe less. Mm-hmm. And then we got the main exhibition area, which is very substantial, and environmentally it's perfect, because there is no light getting in, or no, it's very well insulated as well, so it's an ideal it's an ideal location for our presentation. And what we have in general terms is that our museum presentation will rely heavily on the War of Independence, because we have a huge amount of artifacts, etc., relating to that, including the wheel of the Crosley tender that was burned out in Kilmichael at the Kilmichael ambush. We also have the identity plate from that Crosley tender. We have a lot of stuff relating to the late Lord Mayor of Cork, Terence McSweeney, and we have some significant archaeological material that we'd like to portray as well. But we see ourselves that we will actually rely on the local countryside probably more for that.
Will this be a living space too, besides being an exhibition area, in the sense of, we'll say, schools may go along and participate in some kind of activity or not? Have you anything like
Almost
that in mind?
certainly. We have, in our marketing plan, we have identified various sectors, obviously other historical societies, and that would be the obvious people and recent Board Fáilte statistics indicate that 62% of people visiting Ireland do so for heritage, interest in heritage items. But yes, schools will certainly, we will be hoping to attract school tours and that type of thing. And furthermore, it's also more than likely that we would actually look at the various school curriculums that are current, and that we would actually produce presentations specifically aimed at this sector.
Noel, it sounds like a very exciting times ahead for Kilmurry Museum. And in the meantime, is the present museum sort of closed now?
Well, we normally actually didn't operate the present museum during the winter. We typically close it because we're done on Sundays only on a voluntary basis. It is closed, it being winter now, and we hope to have a new presentation up in the new year, you know.
Yeah. Do you'll actually hope to be open?
Oh, we will. We will be
will
open. We will be open in 15.
And will there be a caretaker in there to look after it?
Well, at the moment we have a very committed and talented individual who's on a placement scheme, and he's there 2.5 days a week, and he's doing a great job, and he's actually updating the database, and he's doing a lot of other stuff relating to, and he lives in the village, so I suppose he's our key man. His name
is there sometimes you have a kind of high-tech exhibition in the sense of computer stuff that you can tap into and put on. Have you a facility like that at any?
Oh, we certainly have. The whole place is hot wired for audio and PC, whatever. That's not a difficulty. But having said that, that's what the curating group and the expert people we have, consultants, that we want to make it accessible, and we just don't want it to be too gimmicky either, you know.
Yes.
And we have actually visited lots of other establishments, both here and actually on the continent, to see what they are doing.
Fabulous.
And and we equally we do not want to have another scenario where you just have, frankly, a Lee Enfield rifle in a timber cabinet and saying this featured at the Kilmichael ambush. We will of course present that type of artifact, but we would hope to do it in a far more imaginative and graphic. We visualise that we will use graphics and touch screens a lot.
Yes. I'm sure that the good people of Kilmurry won't take umbrage at this question that I want to ask you. In a sense, I suppose it's remarkable that effectively a country village could bring about this kind of project. It's obviously in proportion to the population and so forth. I suppose it's quite an astonishing achievement. What do you put that down to?
It is, Brent. I would say it's unprecedented, frankly, that we in a very little known rural village that, quite frankly, was deteriorating. I mean, we've lost a pub, we've lost several shops, we've lost the post office, and the local Garda station has been closed down. And it was in that context, really, that we did approach this whole project from day one. And equally, we did identify that, frankly, a museum solely on its own in Kilmurry would probably be commercially unsustainable. So we did consult with the community, and we consulted with all the local clubs and organisations, and we got a resounding positive response from all of these people, and I think it was on that basis that we did go forward, and I would have to compliment West Cork Development Partnership as well, who administered the leader funding for the area. Fair play, they've stuck with our whole project from day one, and there were a lot of difficulties. Even frankly, this time last year, the green flag hadn't dropped. So they have been very good. But certainly the people of Kilmurry generally have been incredible, and the kind of we did have a door-to-door fundraising effort and several other programs of that nature, and the response has been absolutely mind-blowing.
Well, that's fantastic. And look, Noel, we really look forward to the opening in the new year, and I'm sure that Denge will be very happy to come along with your permission and record all of the proceedings, and we'll talk to you again at that stage.
Very well. Just before we close, I would like to thank Danjo personally, because Danjo did a presentation which I have in CD way back in the very early 60s, whereby he came out to the museum and he recorded the personnel and the artefacts and all that. And I think, Danjo, you're overdue for a second visit to make a 21st century version.
His halo's glistening away there in the sunlight now, isn't it?
And we'll give you the same huge stipend for that job as you got in the previous time.
Okay, yeah. Okay, Noel, thanks very much indeed. And you're very good to come. It's literally allow yourself to be hijacked. Ambush. Thanks a million, Noel. So there we have Noel Howard very obligingly sitting into the chair there at no notice at all and giving us a great outline. We'll keep our eyes very firmly, as I'm sure all of you will, on Kilmurry Museum, and we will, of course, come and support it too.